Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm your host, and joining me, as always, are my go-to podcast compadres, Mr. Joe Lever.
Compadre here at your service, Jimmy Good.
Oh, thank you very much. And Mr. Levi Fletcher with special guest Morty, maybe Morty's around.
He's around.
You can barely see him there, but he's there. That Morty is Levi's...
Be a tail.
The cute beagle.
His cute little beagle. Or should we say that Levi is actually Morty's person? So, yeah. That's what I always tell people when they're like, "Oh, you have such a beautiful dog." I say, "I think so too." I didn't make my dog. I'm just like, "You're right." I agree. I find them fetching. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us here on the Critical Podcast. We like to talk about movies and games and TV shows and music and theme parks and everything pretty much under the sun. Last week, we talked about E3 up into a certain point because we recorded on Monday night, so we didn't see Square Enix's press conference. Square Enix? I don't know how you guys say it. They said Enix. Enix? They said it during the show. I don't know. Anyway.
I've only ever heard Enix, but okay.
Either way, that one company we give money to. And then Nintendo's Direct as well. I think we probably missed something else in there too, like Devolver or the PC gaming show. Whatever. Anyway, I wanted to start with something that kind of marries a few of the things that we love together here, which are games and movies, which the biggest one, at least for me, is Marvel's Avengers. Just Marvel's Avengers. There it is. Now, boys, I had you watch some of the gameplay, the kind of the reveal of it, which a lot of people were confused if it was gameplay or it wasn't gameplay. And the people behind the game actually came out and said, actually, a lot of the stuff you see in that trailer is gameplay itself. You just don't have the HUD, and it was kind of cut into the trailer to make it look like it was a cinematic, but it's actual gameplay. I just want to know your feelings and thoughts on it right now, because apparently there's a lot of backlash as far as the character designs go. So Joe, I know you're big on design.
What do
you think? What do you think of these guys?
I don't know. I thought it all looked okay. The only thing I wasn't too keen on was the look of Iron Man, which if you're going to perfect one of them, Iron Man better rank at the top.
Is there something specifically about Iron Man, like this version, that you're
the helmet,
okay,
hands down. It's a little cartoony, chintzy looking. The movies perfected it. Just perfect design and the kind of angry looking face. This one is a little more relaxed and cartoony and less refined.
Sure. Yeah, well, I know that they said that you're going to be able to not only, I think, change the color of the skins, but also change how the armor looks specifically for him and stuff. So I'm sure there'll be versions, and I would not be surprised to see various, Marvel Cinematic Universe versions of it in the game to wear, So, but I understand that, they picked a look for all these characters and they kind of went with it. Levi, for you, are there any characters that you like the look of, or are you like with Joe, where there's one or two where you're like, you screwed up on this one?
I didn't really mind any of the characters. It just felt a little, I don't know. I had a weird feeling about the way everything looked. I was expecting something more. I don't know. It just felt a little weird. I was expecting Final Fantasy 7 Remake graphics and
sure, very kind of stylized, but still kind of. I know what you mean. Yeah.
I'm why would you showcase that and then give us something a little?
Yeah, I know they had to end with it. And I know people have kind of had problems Captain America looks like he's in riot gear or something. I love Captain America, and I'm for me, I was thinking, I'll probably just change out that costume because they'll probably have 1,000 of them. But you probably have to buy those costumes. Please don't do that to me, Marvel's Avengers. Don't do that. That would kill me. But yeah, I don't know. Some people were angry that Thor looks like he's got a sound system or speakers on his chest. But I was like,
I saw that
in certain versions of Thor, the Ultimates version kind of has that, these big kind of chest circles, for lack of a better term. But I'm going to be kind of forgiving on that because it's I'm sure we can change how he looks. And they came out and said there's a lot of backlash over the look of these characters, and we're not changing them. Which is funny and interesting.
We're not changing.
Yeah, well, after Sonic, for instance, the Hedgehog, the movie, they're going to delay it and they're going to fix it. But this group, they're sorry, guys, we're not changing it. You're going to have to deal with it. And I think it's because, and Levi, maybe this is where the weirdness for you comes in. It's they look kind of like the MCU counterparts, but not. It's kind
the joke was they look like the dollar store version of the MCU characters.
The thing I saw was like they were showing that lineup from Saturday Night Live who actually had Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, but it was like all of the Saturday Night Live cast members who were Avengers, you know, quote unquote. And it looked, they put the pictures right next to each other for a comparison, and it was pretty funny. It was like, oh, like this is the Avengers, you know, quote unquote. Yeah,
the Payless version,
yeah. Which I understand that qualm, but at the same time, like for me, I thought Hulk looked really good. Like I was just happy to see a regular old pissed off Hulk. I was like, thank you. It's not like he's Hulk, he's like talking and he's smart. It's like, nope, it's Bruce Banner, and then goes right into Hulk, which they didn't show the transformation. I don't know if you guys saw that in the video. He jumps out of a plane, and then it cuts to him as the Hulk, like landing on the ground. I was like, cool part. He didn't show the cool part.
Yeah, but you know what? I also understand. Like, if you think back to think of Transformers, I remember seeing behind the scenes stuff, and that it took them like some 3-4 months to make one Transformer transform.
Yeah, well, that was not like that was insane. That's a whole different.
It is, but I mean, if you think about it, him growing into the Hulk, yeah, maybe it's a little simpler, but I mean, time maybe they didn't want to dedicate to it. Instead, they do the clips, you know.
Sure, and right now they're just like, you got to pay to see that, you know. Morty wants to weigh in on this. Morty wants more of what's it, the Frog Thor? Throg, I think his name is.
I think he's pretty pissed about the Iron Man design. Look at him. He's rolling around like, God, they screwed it up.
Yeah.
They screwed it up.
I like seeing that part of Iron Man in space, though. Like, you see him kind of smashing into some satellites. It's very, like, Uncharted, Naughty Dog. Like, there's these cutscenes, cinematic-y type of things. And apparently we're, like, just watching this video, too, where we're talking about that there's some QuickTime events, but there might not always be. They just kind of put them in for the demo so people could, like, understand and appreciate how things worked. I was like, I don't know. But one thing that I was super concerned about is the co-op. I was like, how's the co-op going to work? Apparently there is a single player campaign. I don't believe it has drop in or drop out co-op. It's like you kind of pick an Avenger and then you play with them for a bit, then you can swap to different ones. But there are side missions that you can play with your friends, and then they're going to have that kind of continuous like co-op experience, which to me just sounds like they're going to throw Ultron bots at you or something forever, or whatever it's going to be like, where you could just go and fight waves of things, you know, and get stronger and stronger. I just wanted to know how that works. So it's like, okay, at least I kind of get that. So it sounds like we all have to play the campaign like alone. Kind of, yeah. Where it's like, but then the side missions is like, yeah, so you have to be like, oh, we can only play like, if you play 2 or 3 levels, they unlock a side mission. We can play that together, but then you have to play the other ones alone. I don't know if that's smart. I think it's because they want it to be cinematic and story driven, where it's like, oh no, you're playing as Thor for this mission, or you're playing as Black Widow and then switching to Iron Man or something like that. But to me, I was like, like, and I think it's because they don't want us to sit like we do on Division 2 and just talk over the cutscenes. Because if that were like if you know we were playing together and we got to a cutscene, like, screw this, let's get back to the gameplay, right? So I think that's the caveat, as it were. I'm not sure. But they did say, which I was really excited about at the end, because they show 4 Avengers, and there's also Cap, but Cap might be dead, it sounds like. Or, you know, they'll bring Winter Soldier in. Like, they wouldn't make a full moveset and skill tree for Cap and then be like, nope, he's dead in the first, you know, mission. But they said there's going to be free DLC in the form of other characters down the line. And I was really excited about that, because I was like, okay, because I thought for sure we were going to show off more of the Avengers than just like the core team, you know? Like, I don't know if you guys thought that too. I was like, where's Doctor Strange? Like, I thought somebody else, or Captain Marvel, was going to show up. But I think they're like, here's the core team, and then over each, you know, couple of months, they'll pop out another one, like Black Panther or something else like that. Was there any Avenger for you guys, like movies or not movies, that you were like, man, where's that character? Like, bring that character for sure. Like, either of you have one?
Who would they be missing? I mean, they didn't.
They showed about everybody, didn't they?
Well, they showed the core team, but I mean for like, you know, the extended team now. Like, we have the MCU, or like,
you know, Doctor Strange is, of course, what I'm gonna say.
Sure, yeah, exactly. I thought that's what they were going for in that press conference, Levi's. They kept showing the pictures, then it was going to pan away, and we were going to be in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and it was going to be like, oh, it's Doctor Strange's house. You were looking at his pictures. But yeah, that one. Like I said, Captain Marvel's another one. Scarlet Witch. You know, like, you could do Quicksilver. You could do honestly, you could do any Marvel character probably. But yeah, Joe, so that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, you'd probably want more like a Venom type or something like that.
Oh, that'd be cool. Is Loki or anybody in here?
We haven't seen him yet, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him. That would be a cool playable character. And yeah. I think the director, one of the lead producers, had said, hey, just because, a character might have only been in 1 or 2 issues of the comic books, that doesn't mean that they're out. He said, so there might be a lot coming down the line that most people haven't heard of, or there's just a really cool character that we thought we'd want to put and play as in the game. So it's like, oh, so we might get some ones we've just never heard of or that we don't know about. But for me, I'm just always like, it's the same with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I'm like, show me Ghost Rider. Show me a third-person action game with Ghost Rider, like whipping the chain and just like burning people.
Oh, that would be
yeah, they're not as limited by the MCU. They can do a lot more.
Yeah, well, that and you can bring in anybody. Like Wolverine has been an Avenger. Like I think like almost everybody has been like an Avenger. Like anybody could be an Avenger. So
give me Venom, and I'm somewhat happy.
Yeah, I was trying to think of other ones that would be cool, but I'm sure Black Panther. It would be cool to play as Black Panther, who would play kind of similarly to like Captain America, I would think, but then have like the repulsor, or just like take a lot of bullets and be like, ha, suckers. Like that'd be really cool too, I think. But Taskmaster was in the game like as a villain. He'd be a really fun one to play as. I just don't know how you'd take his kind of copycat ability and apply it to the game, but he's like Deathstroke, so I'm always for the mercenaries who have like some skills.
I feel like he only matches up with certain characters though.
Exactly, and I don't know if they'd take a low-level villain and make it like a playable character, but
I think they talked about him matching up with Scarlett Johansson, but
Black Widow, yeah.
And,
who I've heard rumors too that he could be the main villain for that Black Widow movie, which to me is really interesting because I'm like, oh, that's a perfect one because you're like, hey, no matter what skill I've learned, if he sees me do it once, he's gonna be like, I know how you do that leg twisty flip thing, I can do it too. Be like,
get out of here with that nonsense.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm just a broken record player with Ghost Rider, but any of the Avengers are fair game, and I think it would be really cool. Also, at the very end, we get a little tease of an older Hank Pym, and he kind of walks in and he shoots like a Pym particle cannon at a big tank, and then it shrinks down, and it's a little one. I was thinking like, oh, Ant-Man. How crazy would Ant-Man be? And like if you had full production budget, so like you're fighting as Ant-Man, and then you shrink down, and it's like still the actual place, and you have to run like a little bit to get on someone's foot, and then like you're running up there and then jump up and punch him in the face. Like how cool would that be? I don't know logistically how you do that, or technically I should say, but how sweet would that be? Like
that'd be pretty trippy. That'd be cool.
That'd be so cool. And
I'm sure it'd take a lot for them to make it work.
Oh my gosh, and the feeling of it too, and like how cheap that character would be, because if you got in a bad space, you just like, I'm just shrinking down, and then you have to like dodge feet, like.
Or if you did the grow move to gigantuan.
Oh, dude, dude, man, giant man. Oh, Joe, I didn't even think about it. Just like you're like, screw this, and then just smash some people. Like that would be like crush them with your boot. Yeah. I would love that. That would be so cool. Yeah, but I like seeing an older Hank Pym. Like that was cool because that's one thing I didn't like with the MCU is that Hank wasn't part of like that original core team of Avengers. And I love Scott Lang, don't get me wrong, but I like kind of Hank who builds Ultron and all that stuff. But yeah, I want to see that. I'd also love to see, like I talked about Joe with the Venom, like Green Goblin Thunderbolt action, or Dark Avengers, where like Norman Osborn takes the Iron Man suit and stuff like that, where you just kind of like it's just a little bit different. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's a cool concept. We just need to see more of it. And I know people are worried about the look of these characters, but I would say to people, don't worry. I'm sure you're going to be able to change how they look to a pretty good extent. I just want to see the skill trees. For me, that's the thing. Like I've said this before, but like Iron Man, he's so much easier to be like, oh, here's my skill tree of like, I can up the missiles or my repulsors or my jet boosters or whatever it's going to be. But like Hulk, you're like, I'm upping my thunderclap, or whatever, like ground stomp, or it's harder with him, right? Like, you know what I'm talking about, Joe.
Kinda, or like his leaping distance or his stamina. Sure. I bet you there'll be a stamina thing. Like you can't go crazy for too long.
Oh, I hope. Oh God, I hope not. I hope they don't give him a stamina bar because he's like a guy who's got like no limits, baby. Like
that's true. Like he doesn't tire, right?
That'd be so funny. Out of all the Avengers, it's like if they ever put Hawkeye in, but they also have Black Widow, and they have their stamina meters that are like this big, and then like Thor's, there's no stamina meter. Like Hulk, there's no stamina meter. Like Iron Man, there's a battery pack that like slowly is like it's like you can't use your lasers all the time, and you're like, stupid, like
I thought this thing generated infinite power. What's going on?
Like, even in the movies, they mention it a few times, but it's never like the thing that ruins him. It's like if you keep doing this, sir, we're gonna have problems. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh my God, did we just find a major plot hole in the whole thing? Like, yeah, he had to like reallocate power to certain systems that were more of a priority.
Yep, especially at the end of the first Avengers, because he's using the laser, and Jarvis is like, "Sir, if you keep doing this, we're gonna run out of power before we crack that hull." And then he puts it all into the jet boosters and flies the nuke straight up.
Yeah, but that thing's supposed to make infinite energy sustainable
for him, I think, but I don't think it's for like his heart, but not for his mech suit. I don't know, man. It's comics. Which also was kind of confusing to me, because when you see Tony Stark in these cutscenes, he's like full beard, longer hair, and he's got that thing on he's got the arc reactor. I didn't know it was him. I was like, oh, someone else has an arc reactor. That's pretty cool. It must be, no, that's Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I was like, is it?
I think they should have gone for a little bit more of a likeness with him. Just saying.
Yeah, that, or I know some people were saying, why not just take the look of the actors playing these characters, like the voice acting and like the actual.
They wanted to disconnect from that. You can totally tell. But
yeah. Well, and like you look at Bruce Banner and you're like, you're basically the Mark Ruffalo one, just a few degrees one way or the other. Like, you know, like, but I'm still really excited about this game. I'm excited to play this with you guys, because it does kind of look like what we had envisioned. It's not first person. It's not like playing as some other random superhero. It's like you're playing as these characters. And I can't imagine, like, I was thinking about Spider-Man PS4, how hard it was to get that character right. But then think about that, and that's just one character. But this game has already got like 5 of them, and they all play so differently. Like, how hard that must be to make them all be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like how you make Thor as much fun as Captain America, and they're just so different as combatants, right? I don't know. Yeah. That brief moment we have with Cap, where he's throwing the shield and throwing people down, I was like, oh my god! Like, I was like, yes. I just love Cap. Where's his skills gonna go? Into the super soldier serum? More stamina for Cap. Yeah. Anyway,
every time you go out, you gotta like shoot up with Captain America. Like,
he's like, I'm back, baby. Yeah. He's got a big resistance to ice. He's like, no, I've been frozen for a while. Ice doesn't affect me. Yeah, I was trying to think of like one other weird Avenger that they could put in, you know, from the, like, not even just from the movies. But I wonder if they'll dive into Guardians eventually, if they do like a Groot and Rocket combo, where it's like Groot's walking around and Rocket.
Oh, you know they will.
Like, maybe, you think? Oh god, I hope they don't do Star-Lord. I'm sorry, I'm so sick of Star-Lord. Yeah, he's just not very compelling to me.
I like how they're mixing in villains that we haven't seen from the movies too, you know, like Taskmaster. That's cool.
For sure. And the thing is, Taskmaster was in Spider-Man as kind of like an optional side boss, and Spidey does make a comment in that game about the Avengers being on the West Coast, so there's a really good chance Spider-Man will show up in this game. Even though Taskmaster looks a bit different in this version. He looks a lot more sinister here. I didn't recognize him right away. Got the skull mask. I was like, that's Taskmaster? I like Taskmaster a lot. He's very cool. So I'm excited. I should say cautiously optimistic, and it's coming out next spring, I believe. Yeah, I think it's next.
A little bit of a wait, but not bad.
Every game's coming out next spring. Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy 7. Which, before we move on to talking about Final Fantasy 7 briefly, Hypeometer, boys, how are we feeling with this game? Out of 10, 10 being I gotta play it immediately, 1 being I just couldn't care less.
Like a 6.
Like 6? Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6, 6.5. I mean, you know, good temperate range, I think.
8 or 8.5 for me. I'm hoping, God, please don't make like, this is the thing. It's not a movie tie-in game. They took their time with it. They could have done a movie tie-in game, but they waited. So I'm like, hopefully that means it's going to be better, you know, because we've waited so long to see this thing. So please don't screw this up, guys. Please, I beg you. Yeah. Anyway, let's briefly talk about Final Fantasy 7 here for a second. Joe, I know you're just the biggest Final Fantasy fan ever.
I'll just hang out.
Levi, did you have anything you want to say about the Final Fantasy 7 remake gameplay demo that we saw here?
Looks pretty.
It does look pretty. It does. And they actually fought that boss, that Scorpion tank boss, for like the full 4 minutes. They're just slashing away at it and just beating it down, which I thought was pretty cool. Huh?
There's a demo out?
There is a demo. It was playable on the floor. It's not out for everybody.
You got to play it?
Oh, no. I just watched them play it.
I'm sorry. I thought you said you got to play it.
Nope. No, there was a playable demo, just kind of showcasing that stuff. Obviously inspired a lot by the art style of Final Fantasy 15 and stuff, but I think it looks really good. I'm excited about it. Apparently it's going to be 2 Blu-rays worth of content in this first episode. And as we talked about before, and Joe, I don't know if you recall this too, but Final Fantasy 7, just a massive game back in the day, but trying to make it so pretty and then put it, you know, on modern consoles, they're going to split it up into multiple episodes, and we still don't know exactly how many that's going to be, because they're like, this first one's going to be in the city in Midgard and all that stuff. It's like, how long is that, man? Like, like that's a lot. So there's a lot of money going into this game, though. It's another one of those like Square's just pumping money into it. But yeah, Levi, do you have any other thoughts or feelings on this after you actually saw it more in action?
No, I mean it looks like a huge undertaking, and they've done a great job with it. It looks really good. It looks really sharp, and I'm excited to play it after playing FF15. So
yeah, and people were losing their minds when Tifa showed up. This other female protagonist, Joe, that they haven't seen yet, but she's punches and she kicks, and people were screaming. They were like, oh,
a lot of very Advent children like. So
they look, yeah, that's
the little girl and everything, yeah.
Yeah, which is that? I don't know. What's her relation to Tifa again? Is that a daughter?
Just because like she's at the church or something. She's one of the kids.
They're not related. Okay. And maybe we're wrong on that, but still, it's like, oh, it's interesting. But yeah, it looks cool, and I've heard a lot of people who loved that game, remember all the dialogue that was from that first game, but then they've added a bunch of stuff too, and they've also added more like kind of exchanges between characters, so they feel more fleshed out, which I think as a longtime fan or as a new fan or newcomer, you can appreciate these characters in a whole new light, that's really nice too. It's like taking these little minor characters and giving them more personality, which is great. Good on you, Square. Just pumping all the money in there, because no matter what, they're going to make all the money from this game. I do not see any version of this where they don't make a ton of money, at least on this one. They will just sell copies and copies and copies and copies. But yeah, anyway, Levi, hypometer check for you on this one out of 10?
Good 9.
A 9? Cool. Joe, just because you're here, what would you give this one out of 10? You probably haven't seen much on it at all.
I don't think you want to hear.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna give it like 7, like a 7 for Final Fantasy 7. Ha! I did.
Zing.
I was thinking back to it. I played Final Fantasy 7 with my family back in the day. I didn't beat it, but it's weird. I always associate that game with other people, but I should make it my own. And I plan on I'm gonna get it. I want to play as Cloud. I want to play as Barrett, the guy who's got this like gun arm, who's just constantly shooting at people. It seems cool to me. And also, and Joe, you kind of appreciate this too. It's real-time battles, but you can like pause or turn it to slow motion and then kind of pick out your moves and stuff. Like if you need to use like a potion or magic or whatever else, but it like slows everything to just a crawl. And then you can kind of pan around with the camera and like look at all this at any time, which is so cool. So you're like doing a move, you're like slow motion. You can like look at all the sparks and everything. It's like, oh, that's budget. That's good money right there, baby. That's some sweet stuff. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool. But I want to talk about that briefly. And then let's hop into one more thing that we did not get a chance to talk about last week. That is Nintendo's Direct that came out on Tuesday morning, I believe it was. Levi, before we started tonight, you were like, we got to talk about Nintendo. What from Nintendo do you feel is the thing worth talking about the most?
I mean, God, there was a lot of standouts. Where to start? I really liked the Breath of the Wild sequel.
Oh yeah, the little tease
announcement. Yeah, very unexpected.
Do you think it'll be like Majora's Mask? It's just like reusing the same assets, is what people have kind of been saying.
I hope not. I feel like they learned from that, and I think they know what people are looking for. They're looking for a full new, set of dungeons and a full new set of things to do.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. What was that your favorite thing from all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of them. I really liked Animal Crossing. That looked really cool.
Finally showing some stuff off from that, which was really good.
I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun just to hang out, a chill game to play on the Switch. So.
Are you frustrated that they pushed the release date back? Because apparently a ton of people got really angry about that.
Yeah, they got angry, but Nintendo even said we didn't want to kill our employees by doing it, so good on that.
I respect that too, and it was so funny because like even in the treehouse at the end of the thing, one of them was talking and they were saying like, if you would please allow us to take more time to finish up this game, we would really appreciate it. Like they're asking us to say like it's okay, like even though they're gonna do it anyway. I was like, yeah, take your time with the game and don't kill your employees. And it's so funny because it's a game that's all about being chill, and people who want to play it are not chill about it. They're like, I want to start digging, I want to start like hunting for clams. I want to get my campsite set up today. And it's just like, ooh, guys, it's okay. Like, yeah.
And I was really ecstatic to see all the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 going on.
Yeah, I actually watched a little gameplay demo of that, and it was really cool because the camera kept shifting. It wasn't isometric, and then they were they were in this one area where they were like all silhouetted, and it looked like a comic book. And I was like, wow, that looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I am excited about it now. I was watching. I'm like, all right, Levi said I should check this out, and I was watching.
Do a buddy stream of it, so.
Dude, Magneto looks so cool. Like, he has a move where he he has casting times now, which I don't know if they had this in the other games, but he can get items to make it so he doesn't get interrupted. But he picked up 2 big rocks that were covered in rebar, and then he chucks them at people. But then his ultimate is a big black hole with metal and stuff that pulls everybody in and does a ton of damage. I was like, ooh, Magneto seems really cool.
Yeah, it looks really fun.
Yeah, but pretty much what you'd expect from a Marvel game like that. It's yeah. Which character are you looking to play the most?
I liked. I wanted to play Wolverine. It looks fun.
Yeah.
He's Cyclops, Iceman.
Was Cyclops in there?
Yeah.
Crap, I didn't see him.
Maybe he was just a support.
Maybe he's there, and I just didn't. There's a lot of
characters. He was in the cutscenes, so.
I was sad to see that there's a season pass for it where they're like, oh, if you want, you can buy this and you get X-Men and all this other stuff. I was like, oh no. I was like, can't you just put them all in the game like the other games? I was like, you're killing me. That's how they get their money back on that. I wish it weren't a Switch exclusive because, Joe, I think you'd enjoy this game from just a beat 'em up perspective. It's a turn your brain off and be like, just kill those things with your favorite.
What exactly is it? It's not like what we were just talking about with Avengers.
It's Levi, would you say it's kind of it's a top-down kind of Diablo-esque where you're you see your character run around, you have spells and stuff, and you're fighting
on the Switch.
Yeah,
exclusively
on the Switch. Yep, it's you can play a bunch of different Marvel characters.
I think Venom's
Yep, Venom is in it.
Yep,
there you go.
Yeah, he's in there right away.
Where do I get me a Switch?
Along with Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen and Spider-Man. I was like,
wow.
A lot of spiders. Yeah, but that looks cool too. I think there's another thing or two though that you have to mention, otherwise I will mention it for Nintendo.
Dragon Quest 11.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I was just playing that today. Yeah, which finally coming to the West on the Switch. Dragon Quest 11 Edition S.
Dragon Quest Builders, Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, there was a lot of shit happening.
Dragon Quest Builders 2. I want to play that with my sister really badly, which is basically Minecraft, and they tricked me into it, but. Banjo-Kazooie, I knew it was coming, and people thought I was nuts. But I was like, it's for sure. Go watch those old Super Smash Brothers videos that I was talking about. The percentages, I said he was 100% for both of them, and then they finally showed him off. Looks perfect,
Still
right?
No Waluigi. So we got Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, I wanted that on the Xbox stage. I thought for sure it would cut to black and you just hear the duh from Banjo, and they saved it for the Nintendo thing, and I was like, but who doesn't like a bear using a bird as a gun? It seems like such a family thing. But yeah, it was just the biggest
the Dragon Quest characters are all coming too.
The hero from Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah,
I think.
But it looks like there's a ton of them, and you can switch between ultimates. Is what it looks like.
Oh, is that what it is? Maybe, and also on the stage, the Dragon Quest stage too. But either way, yeah, I like Dragon Quest 11 a lot. The main hero doesn't have a personality, so it's not yes, he's in there. It's just it's like Joker from Persona. I'm like, that's cool, but I won't pay for him. It's so few and far between with those characters. I feel like it took forever to get Joker out. Now they've announced these other two, and I'm like, about time. Get Banjo in there. Let's go. Yeah, I wanted Phil Spencer to come out and hug somebody, though. That did not happen. I wanted Phil Spencer to hug, I think his name's Doug Bowser, the new guy from Nintendo. And they're like, we're buddies, Microsoft and Nintendo. Friends forever. But yeah, that's pretty much all the big stuff from Nintendo, I think, right? I probably forgot something. Oh, that reminds me. I have to quickly mention this. Final Fantasy VIII Remaster is coming, and people have been waiting for that a long time. Missile Mage, who's going to listen to this, is going to want to hear me say that.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's about time they did that. But people they're like, yeah! So I was like, gotta mention it. I did it. But yeah, that's all the Nintendo stuff. Levi, for you, is it Breath of the Wild? That's the biggest thing?
I mean, Link's Awakening looks really cool too. I don't know what's the best. It was just a lot. Nintendo definitely stole the show for me. So
sure. Yeah. See, I wish I could say that, but my boy Keanu, I've got too much of an infatuation with him right now. The fact that he was on stage just blew my friggin' mind. I was like,
Xbox did great. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It was a good year for E3.
No, they should have done better. They should have shown the console. They should have shown gameplay from anything. Like, that was my problem. I was like, I enjoyed it, but I was like, guys, come on now. Like, even Cyberpunk didn't. They had like a behind closed doors demo. I was like, that's the time.
Yeah, there wasn't any gameplay shown from Halo Infinite, but like there was a part where he puts the helmet on. You see like kind of the.
Oh yeah, on that
again, but.
They're like 343, like obviously Bungie started with Halo, but like 343, they're killing it with Halo. Like, it's hard for me to see any of that and think like they're not taking it seriously. It's like you think about Final Fantasy VII being like Square's big thing, like you in that cinematic for Halo, you're like, oh god, like how much money did they put to just every little detail, like the shield noise it made when it actually like you put it and suited up and stuff. It was like, like it's like, oh. You're doing it. I just want to see that game, man. I want to know what's infinite about it. Like, is it going to be like Destiny? I don't know.
It's in space.
It's in space, which is infinite, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, because there's like an edge of the universe that's continuously expanding since the Big Bang, but like what's on the other side of that?
No, you don't know that, man. I think there was this guy, capital G-O-D. You know, he just went, oof, shared all it.
Yep, perfect.
We'll spur a debate.
Yeah, perfect. But yeah, so that's kind of the Nintendo stuff. Joe, I know you're not really a big Nintendo fan, but if I could get you to play, if I come to your place and I bring a Switch and we play Marvel Ultimate Alliance one day, I think you'd have fun with it. You'd enjoy it for like an hour. You'd be like an hour or two in, just kind of smash some stuff. Not like the other. I like that we have that, but we also have Marvel's Avengers coming, which is more of like this is like a serious Avengers game. Like, it's not just beat them up.
Excuse me for 1 minute. Sorry.
You're excused. No, that's fine. Levi, is there anything else you wanted to discuss from Nintendo while Mr. Lever steps away?
No, Link's Awakening looked really fun.
Are you gonna get that?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up. Of course.
Yeah.
It's got like kind of. I didn't know how I feel about the art style at first. It got kind of like a clay doll.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, to be honest with you. But I'm excited.
Now that I saw like hands-on, it looks cute.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be cute.
Dungeons too. Like, that was really what pulled me in as well.
Oh yeah, like making dungeons.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's kind of a cute. Like, I wonder what the point of making the dungeons is.
Oh, like you can, your friends can like play it and kind of like Super Mario Maker.
Sure, yeah. Which they needed to do. I think people love that kind of creative thing, and I don't have the Nintendo Online yet, so the only thing I would get it for right now, besides Marvel, would be like Dragon Quest Builders 2, because Fraggington was like, hey man, I might get it, and I was like, yeah, we could get like a month of it and just play together, and that'd be a lot of fun. I was like, building a place with other buddies, like, seems pretty cool. Anyway, all right, but Levi, just give us, Nintendo stole the show for you. Would you give them like a 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 or something?
I'd give it like just sheer content, like 9 out of 10.
Yeah, they don't waste your time.
They were hands-on with like Luigi's Mansion. They were, they were smart with people's time.
Yeah, and Joe, for your kind of reference, basically what Nintendo does, they don't really do big press conferences like Microsoft does anymore. They do like a half-hour, 45-minute called Direct, like Sony does now, where it's just like a video of pre-edited content, and they just show like videos of stuff. So it's just like boom, 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 boom. There's no like somebody coming out on stage. Like, they'll do a little bit of that in between. Like the higher ups will talk a little bit and make jokes. But it's usually just that. And then afterwards, they do this thing called Treehouse Live, where they spend hours just sitting down with the developers of the games and talking about the games and playing them in real time, which is really cool. So for instance, like Pokemon Sword and Shield had like a big showing, and it was cool to see that game and have them talk to the people about like who made this game. Like, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Talk about this. So I love how they do that. And I think that's a really smart way to market your game. Just to be like, hey, there's 45 minutes. If you like that, if you want to stick around for the next 4 or 5 hours, we're just going to sit here and just literally talk to everybody about these big games.
I think that is smart because, not a lot of people have time to watch a, long drawn out thing. This way you get your information out there to the people that can spare the half hour. Boom. Yeah. You got it. They know what to look for.
Yeah. Which one of my favorite things, I think, besides the press conferences from E3, and I remember doing this a long time ago, but like watching G4 back in the day, but just having like somebody's coverage, like IGN or GameSpot, and it'll just be up, and I'll just have it up during the day while I'm working on other things, and I'll just discover new games because they're just talking to people about something, or it'll be like they had an interview about Cyberpunk on one of those. I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's just sometimes I watch the interviewers and I'm thinking, guys, be a little more excited about this. I know it's your job, but you're sitting where all of us want to be sitting, and I'm like, some of them seem like so like less than enthused to be there. I'm like, guys, come on, be excited,
bro.
I'm like, this is like Christmas for video game enthusiasts. Come on. Anyway, let's move on here. I want to talk about something that Levi actually brought up before we started the show. He wanted to talk a little bit about the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlett price points. We kind of speculate a little bit. And because the fine folks over at...
$1 billion.
Nailed it. The fine folks over at IGN did this a while ago, which apparently they updated. I don't know how recently they did update this because it seems like it's like 2 years old. But anyway... kind of wanted to go over some of the video game consoles from the past, what they cost then, what they cost now with inflation, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to figure out how much these next consoles are going to run us. Maybe. So, we'll play a little game here. I will tell you guys what a console cost in the past, and then you guys can speculate about how much it's going to cost in the future. Please tell me you haven't opened up this spreadsheet, because it will not be fun. Okay, let's start with one that we all know and love. The Nintendo 64 came out in 1996 for the low price of $199. Steal of a deal. By today's standards, how much do you think that would cost? Take a guess. Anybody? Going once?
That's insane. $250.
How much, Jimmy?
I got a guess. So Joe saying $250. Levi?
300?
Very close. $305.48. And that was two or 3 years ago. So maybe a little bit more than that now. PlayStation 2, back in 2000, started at $299.
Wow.
Do you want to take a guess at how much that would cost today? Again, 2016-ish. I'm not going to do these numbers.
$400 and some change. Yeah.
Levi?
450.
Joe is closer, I guess. It's $418.21.
Yeah, I mean, if you do the math, every one of them, if they're at a $299 or $199, you add 100 and some change.
But some, because we're getting closer and closer to years, like the inflation doesn't go up as much, so that's where the trick comes in, right? See? Okay. Let's do another fun one. Xbox 360. Ooh. One version of it started at $299, another at $399, and this was way back in 2005, so almost 15 years ago.
What were the numbers again?
$299 and $399, so basically $300 and $400.
Yeah, there were two versions. What was the second version? A higher storage?
I think it was a higher storage. It usually is if they're doing that sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there were different versions of the storage capacities, right?
Which we will most likely get with the next consoles too. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that.
Yeah. What's it worth now? I mean, geez, Pete. Yeah, I mean, it's somewhere in the the $400 one or the $399 to be somewhere around 480, 490, 480. I'd say 460.
Okay.
And incrementally about the same for the $300 version.
Levi, any guesses?
About $50 more.
Yeah, I'd agree with Joe.
Right here, it's saying that back in 2016, again, it would have been for the $300 one, $368.74, so only like $70 more. And for the $399 one, it was about $492.
Yeah.
So add on a little bit of that. We'll do one more just for fun. Let's go. Well, actually, these ones are going to be boring because like back in when Nintendo Switch came out, it was $299 and $299. So Xbox One, it came out 2013 for $499.
2013? That seems so long ago.
I know, but it's
it
not.
Is.
How much would it be today? Now, remember, this is only a couple years back.
$450.
No, it started at $499. It didn't go down.
$450.
Levi's like,
I'd say like I'd say like 520, 515.
Very good. 515.91. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. He's getting it now. He's like, anyway, so looking at that, so Xbox One was that, PlayStation, they said $399 was for PlayStation 4. But if you guys remember this, the PlayStation 3 back in 2006, the two price points they had for that behemoth were $499 and $599. Which
yeah,
back
that was
then
the
was
PS3.
like, what the? It was like, seriously, when they came out that price point, people were like, like
I think Microsoft cornered the market at that time and was outselling and doing way better, weren't they?
And then they flipped it, this last time around, because at that time 360 was $200 less for the regular version. So it was $299 versus $499, and then $399 versus $599. So for $200 less.
Yeah.
But then PlayStation 3 didn't do online service. Like, it was free, I should say. It was like, that's when Gold came out, and they're like, hey, it's $5 a month, for a whole year or whatever. But
that's smart. How does Sony pay for their server maintenance?
Well, now they do. Now it's a paid service now.
Yeah, has to be.
Because
I remember when it was free. I remember our buddy Drew back in college. He had the PS3, and I remember all the time like the Sony network would be down like randomly all the time.
Oh yeah, well that's
they'd work to fix it for a half an hour, sometimes a full day.
I remember we used it back in college to pretty decent results. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah. Anyway, but my question to you guys now is this. Levi, you kind of brought this up. What do we think? Again, completely pure speculation here. What do we think the next consoles this time next year we'll know? How much are those going to cost? There's probably going to be two versions of each, because they'll have like the sticker shock, kind of like with PlayStation 3, where they're like, hey, our big boy version is freaking $599, but don't worry, there's one that's $100 cheaper. What do we think Scarlett's going to cost? And PS5, are they the same? Are they different? I don't know. Like,
a lot of people keep saying it's going to be $399, but I'm like, but an Xbox One X right now costs $500. How are they going to, unless Sony and like Microsoft eat the costs just to get people to buy in, I just can't see them being anything less than $500.
So you're thinking like $499?
Yeah.
Do you think they do it where it's like this is kind of my thought. It's like you do $499, you give them 3 months of gold, and then also like 3 months of Games Pass or something, where you're like, hey, it's going to be a lot, but there's like hundreds of games you can play right now for free, quote unquote, Like, do you bundle that in?
Gosh, I don't know.
I don't know either. Joe, what
can it do? What can it do? It can do 4K or 8K?
It can do 8K.
Yeah, which, to get a TV that can do 8K right now is like $2,000.
Which is ridiculous. It's like,
yeah. So is that a big selling point for people? Not really. I mean, what other capabilities are we looking at it's got to have like the Xbox One S, right? You could buy a version of the Xbox One. You needed the Kinect to do the voice recognition and stuff like that. Yeah. I feel like that's going to be like a automatic, but I don't know. I honestly think if this thing is going to be so robust and powerful that it's, like almost PC grade, I think it's closer, right? Like frames per second, it's getting closer to like a high powered gaming computer.
Yeah, that they're trying to get more like locked 60 frames per second, and they're also in their little conference. They also like had all these people saying no loading screens. Like, we don't want to have any more loading screens. Like, that's what they're trying to go for, which is more of a performance thing than more of like the graphic fidelity. Which at this point, I don't really. For me, I'm like, hey, the graphics are fine. Let's just make sure everything's not bugging out and like draw distances and stuff like pop in. It's like, let's fix that.
I honestly think it could be going for 600 easy.
Okay. Yeah. Like, Levi, I know you said 500, and there might be like two versions of each of these, but do you think that that's out of the realm of possibility?
No, I really think it's going to be about 500. I just can't see them doing 400, like I said, unless Sony, unless they eat that upfront cost. But
yeah,
don't forget that Sony brought out that PS3, the higher end version, at $600.
Yeah, but they ruined and lost that part of the console war. They
got shit on for that.
Yeah, that's the scary thing about these new consoles is like after that happened, then Microsoft came out and said like, here's how much ours is going to cost, and that game sharing thing. Remember, they're like, you can't share games, and then Sony came out the next day and being like, nope, you can share games, and it's not going to cost as much. And it's like,
but I also think about it's been since 2013 that I've owned this Xbox One.
Yeah,
still going strong, mind you. But we're talking 6 years of constant hard use. I use it as my entertainment center, essentially. I'm happy it's still kicking. But they've kept us, I mean, they've given us little things like, the Xbox One S, which is really the same thing, maybe a little smaller, slimmer, whatever. Who gives a crap? Then they gave us the Xbox One X, which, yeah, step up, 4K, the whole shebang, but was it really anything spectacular? No. That was like a weaning tool, right? They're like, let's keep them, at the feeder eating a little bit, but, let's keep them wanting more. Boom. 6 years later, here we are with a brand new console that everybody's thinking, okay, it's not a version of the Xbox One. It's not just a tweaked version of that. This thing is something new. It's like the new iPhone, new features. There's a few new gizmos and gadgets that are cool. If I want to be on the forefront of gaming and I consider myself in the games a savant or even just a weekend warrior, I need the new console. I got to stay on the up and up. Otherwise, what am I?
Yeah.
I think that the price point isn't going to be as huge of a deal. I think if Sony is coming out with anything that's even close to on par with it, capability wise and power wise, all that good stuff, I think $600 isn't out of the question. I mean, yeah, look at what people spend on tablets, laptops, phones now. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has them. I mean, the phone in my pocket, when brand new, it was worth almost $1,000.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. I mean, the capabilities are absolutely astonishing, but they're touting these consoles, the use you get out of them.
Yeah.
I look at my Xbox One. I've had it for 6 years, entertainment center, right? My next one's going to be the same thing. And do I see getting a return on $600? $100 a year? Yeah. It'll be all right.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's true.
I don't think. Do I think that's kind of the upper limit? I hope so. I really hope that's the max,
Yeah.
Like, I hope Levi's correct, but I'm not doubting that it'll be somewhere in that neighborhood. No loading screens. I mean, there's some hardware being.
Well, there's that and the whole, like, it's not a hidden cost, but like the online is going to cost something. And now that they've announced that, like, Xbox, what is it called again? Xbox Gold, like Ultimate or Premium or whatever it is, Unlimited, the one where it's like you get Gold, you get Games Pass, then you also get Games Pass for like your PC for $15 a month or whatever it is. I'm sure that's it's their streaming service, it's their Netflix, so that's going to be part of this, because like we talk about $100 per year for 6 years, but now we have to add like $60 onto that because of the online, right? So my question though is this: are you crazy if you're Xbox and you're like, we're not going to get beat out again like this? Do you say it's like like whatever price point, both of them are like, it's 600 or 500, but you just cut 50 and you're like, you know what, we're 550, we're 550, and just that difference, that $50 difference will be like, okay, for people it'll be like, that's like a year's worth of Gold, if you just want to do just regular Gold, like the online service, so it'll be at like $610, after tax it's going to be more than this. But do you cut under just a little to try and out your competition?
No, I think if they're even up, I think they'll just offer incentives to get ahead.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, if they're a higher price point, will they just cut 50, or to get closer and say they're at 550, Sony's at 5? Will they do that? I think that would be the better play to get your price closer, even if it's after the fact and you're just like, oh, well, Sony's less. Well, okay, we'll try and even the playing field. We'll drop it $50. But just remember, ours can do this.
Yeah.
I think that's the better play. Sometimes those incentives, like if you're even up in price, incentives, people look at that. But if you're just higher overall in general, but there's a couple incentives, people don't always necessarily care or really pay attention to those incentives. So not always the best play. marketing.
That's true. Levi, for you, like Halo Infinite launching with this holiday 2020, which could be any time from like September onwards, is that enough of a draw incentive, like a first party title to be like, this is what's going to help Microsoft beat out Sony potentially this time
I think
around?
it certainly will.
That, and coupled with the fact that it will play, they said, every single previous Xbox game.
Is it, wait, everyone?
That's what they said.
Not just
That's
the Game
pretty
Pass
cool.
stuff? Like, is that really?
I mean, look up the fact check, but it's what I've read recently.
Like, does that mean I can go play like Alpha Protocol? Like, which that would be amazing if they could do, if that's the case. It sounds like it's nuts. And you know what? They keep talking about all this stuff that they're adding onto it. So for us, like if you tried to build a PC that could do this stuff, you're not going to get it for this price. You know, like they're obviously they lose money when they make these things, but they get it back on the software, you know? So you got to make sure.
Microsoft is being a little non-committal on the scope of backward compatibility, but at E3 on Monday, Microsoft announced the last batch of Xbox 360 games to be made. What this means, those games are still playable. Yeah, so Xbox One through Xbox Games Pass.
Oh, okay, so
yeah.
Sure. So it's not necessarily 360, it's Xbox One stuff forward. That's great. And also, I just adore that about Microsoft is that they were willing and they put time and money into this, which isn't necessarily making them money. The fact that we could just like I could put in Gears 3 right now, and I could play it. You know, it's like for no extra cost. It's just like, nope, you own that game, you can play that game. I'm pretty sure it's on there, but. Yeah, I think, Joe, you're right. There's some incentive program going in there. I don't know what Sony says, you know, because they skipped E3. If they're like, hey, you know, it's too soon for like a God of War 2, but do you say like Horizon Zero Dawn 2 potentially is going to launch at the same time as this, like PlayStation 5 or, you know, or whatever else, like Last of Us 2 is going to be a launch title for PlayStation 5 and also PlayStation 4. I don't know. But I think you guys might not be totally off on that price point of like $600, which back in the day I think was much worse. Nowadays, because like you said, Joe, with our phones, I think we're more willing to shell it out because we're like, yeah, we're going to use this thing every day, and we understand that there's a lot of, you know, there's guts to this thing. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised though to see the 2 terabyte versus 1 terabyte version where the 2 terabytes like $50 more, $100 more, whatever it's going to be.
I find it amazing that what does my current Xbox One have?
1 terabyte maybe?
Or did the originals come out with like 250 gigs?
Maybe. I got an external, so I just live the dream.
Yeah,
you know?
So then I put a 1 terabyte external on there, and I've got maybe like 13, 14 games on there. A couple I don't really play, right? And I'm like 40 gigabytes away from maxing her out, you know? And I'm like, if you really think about it, if you've got enough games or you play quite a bit, that extra terabyte comes in handy. And you're spending $100 on an external anyway, so.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I even deleted stuff off my PlayStation today to try something else out new, and I was like, you know what, Bloodborne, goodbye. But I was like, that filled up, and I don't want to buy an external hard drive for a console that I don't play as much. But I got that 4 terabyte one for the Xbox, and I freaking love it. It's like no game. I'm not afraid of downloading any game. Like I'm just like, not a problem. Red Dead, totally fine. It's just like not a problem. But yeah, I think so I think we're guessing anywhere between $500 and $600, and that's $499 to $599 because it's like, oh, that $1 off, you know, or whatever, or penny off. It's like, oh, our stupid human brains are like, oh, it seems like a deal.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that.
Every time, and then people are like, well, it's a $60 game, and then again, I'm like, it's like 64.26 or whatever. It's not just 60. It's not like you go up there, hand them 320s, and they're like, perfect. It's like, yeah, there's taxes and stuff. It's like, come on.
Uncle Sam gets his cut too. Where do you think you're going, huh?
Gets his cut. But I am interested to see where that falls, you know, on this chart. And again, this chart's a few years old, but you can look it up on IGN just to look up any big gaming system and to see what it used to cost and what it costs roughly now, it's really interesting to see how inflation works. It's crazy. They do that a lot with movies too. If you ever want to go like look at how older movies stack up comparatively today, it can be kind of fascinating. I guess my other question to you boys is this. Joe, it sounds like you're in already. Levi, is there any price point that you're just like, man, if they said 700, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just
yeah. If it was like 700, I would definitely be out, at least until it came down.
And Joe's for sure Xbox. Levi, are you for sure Xbox, or are you like
Xbox?
Okay, I was like, would you consider
our PlayStation right now is mostly used for Hulu, and you know.
Yeah.
streaming device downstairs. So
I think for both you guys in particular too, you don't typically look for on average like the single player, like, you know, you're not like worried that you didn't get to play Horizon Zero Dawn or you didn't like play God of War as much. You're just like, it's fine, I'd rather play with my friends. And it seems like both consoles can do that, but for some odd reason, and I'm this way too, Xbox, because they did live correctly in the first place, they're always in my brain as like, that's where I play with my friends. Like, for some odd reason, I don't think PlayStation can do that. It can, and it does, but I'm just like, I don't.
For me too, like the feel of like the Xbox dashboard and just everything with Xbox just feels so much better to me than PlayStation.
Yeah.
What's funny is I go from that to like my laptop at work, which is Windows 10 or whatever.
Oh,
yeah. It's still kind of the similar deal, but it kind of like
sucks.
I'm like, I don't totally get this. Like,
it's a window and another window and another little window and a big window, and you're
like bugs me a little bit. But
yeah, it sucks. Go to Windows 7.
PlayStation is just too clunky.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Well, I like the Microsoft Store. I like the whole categorical thing, like movies, TV, games.
Yeah, you can see
and
it
I can
easily.
go in there for the movies. I use the movie feature all the time, like to rent stuff or watch stuff.
They have it set up so well, and like I always feel like PlayStation is like, well, we're gonna do something different because, you know, it's like every streaming service. Like Amazon has a horrible user interface, but like Netflix has a decent one, and they're like, we don't want to be just like Netflix. It's like, how about you just stop trying to be like, we are our own thing. Look at what works and use that as a base, because clearly PlayStation's like, nope, like their store is so hard to navigate. Like and not that Xbox is perfect, but it's way better. It's just way better. I will say this though, they did come out with that new Xbox Elite controller Mark II or whatever for $180. That is so much money to put into a controller. Like, I'm sure it's great and you can tweak and do all this stuff, but it's like, would either of you pay for that though? $180?
No. What's like an Astro controller?
Well, actually, you know what? Because it is Bluetooth and it would work with PC, iPads, like a bunch of different shit, it might actually be worth it.
But would you use it for that? Would you honestly use it for that? It's like a bell or whistle that I'm just like, why would I have it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I could use it for. If I have
how far away are you from your PC? Is my other question. You know, like people can't plug in. I just thought it's crazy. Like the customization is nuts. Joe, you'd love this. You can tweak now the level of how much you actually have to press in a trigger, so that they made it so it's like, oh, it could be like regular, like fully pressed in, or if you want, you can crank it up to like the third notch, which it's just like barely tapping it and that fires it. So like you can fire more quickly. And I was like, that's nuts. Like they're like, we tried to make it, you can also tune it so it feels like a 360 controller or an original Xbox controller with how it like feels on the joysticks and stuff. I was like, this is nuts, guys. Like, I was like, this is crazy. It looks cool. I just would not pay half of a system for it. I'm like,
dude, it like some of the so all that stuff is a big deal. Like competitive gamers or content creators, streamers, they talk about that a lot. Like I know Scuff is a popular controller manufacturer, and they that's a big deal. Like pro competitive gamers are always like the actual like the trigger sensitivity, the stick like the stiffness of the springs and the joysticks, so that it's not too sloppy, that sort of thing, the precision, all that is such a big deal. The D-pad, like especially like Call of Duty Blackout, for like streamers of that, content creators, and then competitive gamers, it's all like they have to be able to, the paddles are all important. If you're going to be able to do things on the run, fast, multitask, and be competitive, you need that stuff. And then the sensitivity in the sticks is, I get that. Like if they're sloppy, and you're missing shots, and it counts, especially if you're playing for money and stuff like that in competitive gaming. So is the price point worth it? If you're invested into gaming and that kind of setting, yeah, I think so. Some of those are going for like $200, you know, and they're similar to an Elite controller, but I think that tunability will make it more, what's the word, palatable for those people that are looking at like the third party brands like Scuff and Vantage and whatnot, stuff like that. So I don't think it's out of the realm of
So you're saying for the average consumer, it's not an option? No, I'd say, of course, if you're like a Twitch streamer and you're gonna make that money in like 5 seconds anyway, because people are just throwing money at you, for sure. Like I get it, but I mean, for a regular individual, you see that price point. You're in Best Buy or whatever, and you see it's like $180 for a controller. I'm wondering what game it comes with. Like I'm like, oh my god, like.
Well, yeah, I get that, but if you're really into it, and you want to be competitive and you want to see if it makes you better and you got the dough to spend, I'm sure they'll sell enough of them.
Oh, I'm sure that it's not that. Yeah.
Or if you're like a startup streamer who wants that advantage to try and be better and, show off to the, what little viewers you have and make it up.
I should get one. Like, guys, look at how good I am at Devil May Cry. The big Jimmy didn't need a controller for this.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
but that's the thing. I think it's all in the style of game too. Like I think Call of Duty, it lends itself perfectly for that because you really need those advantages.
Or something.
Fortnite could be helpful.
Battle royales in general.
Yeah.
Shooters.
Yeah, shooters and battle royales.
I don't like these controllers, Joe, because that means I'll never play Titanfall ever again. Because it's all those people just picked up that controller, and if I go back to Titanfall 2, I won't even be able to spawn. I'll die. I'll just like, what happened? Guys, I'm dead. I died. Yeah, I respect the controller. I don't know if I'd pay that much for it. I like get angry at paying $80 or $70 for a controller, and I'm like, oh my god! Like, but it does come with the case and the charge pack and all this stuff, and it's always charging if you wanted to. Like, I get the cost is there for sure, but I was just like, wow, this is an insane amount of customization, like switching out the thumbsticks and the levels and all that stuff. I was like, whoa, I love games, man, but not that much. Like, not to that extent as far as like shooters, which I think this is really geared towards. Like, you wouldn't get this game to play the new Marvel Avengers. You wouldn't be like, oh man, I played Tony Stark a little bit better than everybody else plays Tony Stark. Shooting off the repulsors a little bit faster than everybody else. That'd be so funny. That's like what you're bragging about. Anyway, yeah, so there you go. So we're guessing, do we want to all come together and say, like we said, between $500 and $600? Do we want to guess it'll be 2 versions?
Yeah,
so maybe that's
Levi, what did you say?
I'm thinking $500, $499.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So it's between $499 and $599. There might be 2 versions, so we might see both. But
that, and we'll get the Halo bundle for $675. I don't know why it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's going to. Though it'll be like maybe $650. No, they want people to pay full price for that game. Ooh, I don't know. Do you do like a $700 version with like a little bit of a nicer storage and Halo? I don't know. They'll have a Halo.
That might be the $600 one. It's like, well, $500 for the console, but if you want Halo, here's the bundle, and it has this cool graphic on it.
Yep, for sure. It's gonna have like the UNSC or whatever. It'll just be like, oh yeah, it's a Halo Xbox, which they haven't launched with a Halo since I think the first Xbox, and I think it's kind of cool that they're gonna do that again. I think Halo is just cool, and I want Sony to look at that and be like, what are we gonna launch with ours to make it as sexy as this? So. Yeah, and hopefully Halo Infinite's a cool game. Like, I would love it if we all loved the price point and loved Halo enough where we got it that first weekend and we're like, man, we're playing the new console and new Halo as buddies together. Like, that'd be lovely. Anyway, yeah, thank you.
With the right price point, I'll definitely be pre-ordering the next Xbox.
Yeah. It's weird versus like games because like, when you pre-order a game, you kind of have an idea of what it's going to be. With a console, you're kind of like, this is just the platform in which to play those new games, and hopefully they're good too. Which, by the way, Xbox, why didn't you show off the new Fable? Come on, guys. We know you're working on it. But Xbox that I got in 2013, I love you. I'm looking at it right now. Thank you for being such a workhorse. Like Joe said, these things are they just fight and fight. And I respect it. And I use them every day. Just like Joe, I use mine for Netflix and games and a bunch of stuff. Yeah. But what do you think, dear listener and or viewer, what price point do you think it's going to come in at? Leave it in the comments or tweet it at us, please. And this week's hashtag will be hashtag price speculation. Ooh, really sexy, isn't it? No, it's not. Anyway, we're going to move into that segment of the show that I like to call, Jill likes to call, Levi likes to call, we all enjoy calling
Timekillers.
That's right. It's time for Timekillers. Levi, let's start with you. What have you been killing time with, man?
Division 2, playing with a bunch of clowns. So let's see. Oh, I got Cadence of Hyrule, which is a new Switch game.
So is it a build-on to another game?
Yeah, something with a necromancer. I don't know. Necrodancer. I don't.
Do you like it?
I don't know. Yeah, I like it. It's pretty fun. It's different.
It's like a beat kind of game, right?
Yeah, it's a rhythm game, but you don't really have to follow the rhythm if you don't want to.
Okay. Oh, so you can go like you can color outside the lines, baby. It's like you're going offbeat. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, fun,
It's
fun.
interesting. So
Is that a Minnesota interesting or a regular interesting?
yeah, Minnesota interesting. I was like, oh, that's different.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, that car color is interesting, which means I hate it.
Yeah, it's good. It's
okay,
fun.
cool. Is that all you've been killing time with, Leslie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, Joe, how about you, buddy?
New Blackout update, kind of a big deal.
God,
I love Ground War, man. Ground War 50v50. At first I thought, it's probably going to be lame. It's badass. It's fun. Less stress and just kind of all out. Like, you're constantly engaging with the enemy, which I think is fun.
Less stress, more mess.
A little bit, but you win more often because you're winning as a 50-person team, and it's just kind of a good time.
We're not going to be able to get you into Division anymore, or
no, that's not true. The Division obviously is on the list as well. It's been fun. I think it's still pretty similar to the last one. I think leveling is a little better. I think the sponginess of the enemy AI is a little better. I'm interested to dip a toe into the dark zone beyond what we had to do to unlock it.
Yeah.
Because there's always that little bit of a rush. I like that rush of like, oh, we got to sneak and get our stuff and get it out before we, get rushed by somebody, right? So I like that aspect a little bit, and we need to get in there and try that a little. Hopefully, we can kind of stay in our lane. I don't want to get overrun by assholes.
Yeah, might happen.
But I also enjoy that interaction of random online people. Sure. Like, let's dish it out, dish out some hate, and it can be fun. So, yeah, interested to see where that game takes me. I don't foresee it having a hell of a lot of longevity for me, but I am excited to play through more of it, and I guess in essence, kind of beat the game. Do all the missions.
There's at least a raid at the end with like an 8-player raid that we can go on when we like hit level cap and stuff. I was like, that would be fun to do. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Anything else?
That's about it.
Okay.
That's it.
I too have been playing Division 2. I've been playing with like Levi and Joe, obviously, which is great. And I like it more than the first game. I find it to be a really fun game to just kind of turn my brain off and just play. And I agree. I basically echo Joe's sentiment there about the sponginess, or the bullet sponginess, I should say, of the characters, and kind of seeing they are armored, but then like when you take like a big armor guy, you shoot him enough in one spot and that armor will pop off, but it's not like his helmet is gone, like his chest armor is gone, so you focus that area down. But I've been really digging it, and also the main missions, they feel like a really good meaty chunk. Like you could play these side missions, which are smaller, but when you play a main mission, you are going into these specific, unique areas that are unlike anywhere else that you fought in the game, with unique 3D models, and just like playing, like fighting through the Smithsonian or something. And you're just like, wow, this is really cool. Like, if you take a second and just kind of look around, you're like, the story is kind of lackluster. I haven't really been paying attention to it, but that's not the reason I'm here. So I'm excited to just get to the end game and kind of mess around a little bit more. And, I'll do some Dark Zone stuff. I'm not usually a big PvP guy in these types of games, because third-person PvP has always been hard for me. I think it starts with Gears of War being like jumping between cover and just shotgunning someone in the face.
Well, and PvP really isn't the goal of the Dark Zone. It's just there's that chance of running into people.
Yeah.
Kind of GTA style.
Sure. Yeah.
You're still fighting AI and getting loot that way, which I like.
Mm-hmm. But as far as other games, I played a little Dragon Quest 11 today, played the post game. I actually beat one of these trial things that I was severely under-leveled for, I think, but I managed to beat it today, and it felt really good. And I was like, we're going to have to do some leveling and stuff. That game is still really fun to play. It really always brings a smile to my face. And that's as far as the games, I think, go so much. But I briefly did want to talk about this. Levi's already kind of given his review on it, but I want to talk briefly about John Wick 3. Spoiler switch on. I'm sorry, it's not a movie I can really ruin too much, but it's basically a movie they made for me. Not only is it pro-dog in the best way possible by not killing any dogs, but also the dogs get to not only bite people, but they do actually get a few kills in, which is good too. Because I thought there was a lot of like just jumping and biting an arm or biting a leg or biting a crotch. But there is a moment where they jump into a car and they get some dudes' throats and there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, yes. And they're Belgian Malinois. Malinois. They're They look like German Shepherds, but they are these like super dogs. Seriously, if you're listening to this, go type in like Belgian Malinois. It's like Malanois or something, but type in a YouTube video. These dogs are insane. They can jump super high, run super fast. Like they're nuts. They're like
kind of like the new German Shepherd for
Yeah.
like the police and the Marines use them big time.
They're great, and you could tell like in this movie too. These are like highly trained animals because like then they're like pointed at people. Even when they're trying to be like nice and you can like pet them and stuff, it's like these dogs, there's like the you know, the gears are turning. Like they're just like thinking, they're like, just give me the order, man, I'll kill them. Like it's just like, I'm ready to jump, I'm ready to get somebody. And when they bite, it's like a shepherd, they do not let go. Like it's just like it's like I got him. But yeah, so it's cool to see them. But obviously John Wick himself, Keanu Reeves, doesn't say a lot, but I love his character. I love that he gets to protect his pit bull. Halle Berry's in it for a little bit. I thought she'd be in it more, but I kind of liked how they used her, kind of almost sparingly. I thought that was really nice, and it was just more John Wick universe stuff, and I like that. Yeah, a little bit. Some of it was a little too much, and I think, Joe, if you watch it, it's kind of funny because like most of it seems super realistic, but there's like one or two moments where you're like, I don't think he'd survive that. You're like, that seems kind of dumb, and it kind of ruins it. It's like you almost could have written a better moment so that it didn't take away from, you know, the kind of pseudo realism that the world has. But I still really enjoyed it, and my sister wants to go see it, and I was like, yeah, I'll go back and see it. And I saw it in a theater with a lot of people, and this was like a week or two after it's come out, and there was still plenty of people there, and there was a lot of laughter during the fight scenes, or just a lot of like, oh, like, you know, there's some deaths that were kind of slow and just like, oh, like it's like hard to watch. But for me, I'm like, yes, kill him. Or there'd be like a funny kind of death that was just like, it was comical, you know, like it wasn't necessarily maybe supposed to be, but it still was. And the movie kind of indulged in that. But if you're looking for a movie where a lot of people die, it is the perfect movie for you. And it does have a moment at the end, which is very like The Division. They have these guys who come in with armor, and they take more bullets than anybody else. And it's fun to watch John just like having to shoot or find like a weak spot between like a helmet and armor, and just kind of put like the muzzle of the gun or the barrel like in the neck and just shoot, like, and finally kill a guy. Just be like, oh my God, these guys take a lot of bullets. But yeah, like so well choreographed. I don't know if you felt this too, Levi, but there's one fight scene at the end. He fights two guys, then he fights one guy. I got a little numb to the 2-on-1 fight because it goes on for a long time.
Yes.
And it's just like, okay, like this is almost too much of a good thing. I was just like,
it just kind of wears after a bit.
Yeah, and you know, like these guys aren't going to kill him or do anything that big, but it's just the fact that it's a steady camera shot and it's like a dance that I can appreciate. But yeah, I love seeing more about this world. Make a good video game. They made a good Wanted video game. Why can't they make a good John Wick video game? I know they're making one, but it's not the one I want. So make it as a very self-indulgent fan. I just want John Wick.
You want?
They're making a John Wick game, but it's more like tactical. Like you walk around, it's like slow. I want it to be like Arkham meets Wanted, where you're fighting people and you like twist them around and shoot them, or like hold somebody and use them as a shield. And think Red Hood from the Arkham games. If you got to play that special mission, that's good stuff. But yeah, John Wick is now easily my second favorite action franchise of all time, I think. Because I was thinking about that in the car ride home today. There's only one that could beat it. Do you guys know what it is?
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, you know it, buddy. I can't give up on my boy Tom. If I could see Tom and Keanu in a movie together,
a team up.
Oh, I would lose my mind. I would lose it. The thing is, he's not so much of a gunsman as you were, or he's not so much of a. He can be in Mission Impossible, the last one, Fallout. He shoots 4 dudes in like the span of 3 seconds, so he's kind of John Wick style. Yeah, those universes wouldn't clash too poorly. Do you guys think?
I think so.
It would kind of work. Yeah, especially if the IMF is like the secret CIA to the CIA. Like that's the world they live in. Yeah. Oh God. But anyway, I really like that movie, and some good performances all around. By the way, Ian McShane, I really like him. I didn't like American Gods, but I like Ian McShane. I could listen to that guy talk and narrate and just chat about anything. He's just a cool dude. All of those characters, all those really good characters in there. Anyway, yeah, that's it for that's my John Wick 3 review. Oh, if I had to give it a score out of 10, 8.5. Really solid, very good. I'd say that whole trilogy is like that for me. It's just like it's just that good. I don't know what would put it over to a 9 or a 10 for me, but it's probably I I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. It's like I just can't give it that perfect score. I didn't walk out of the theater. I was like, that's exactly what I wanted, and it made me smile. And I was just like, yeah, kill them all. But the story is pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's good. It's just really solid. I enjoy them all. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to my favorite segment of the show: community feedback and questions. Yes, sir. We have a question coming in here from Missile Mage. Lovely guy here. We have always in our Discord, always listening to the podcast. Missile Mage, we appreciate it. He asks us, #Critical Podcast, that's how you can find us and whatnot. With Spider-Man getting so much trouble for its puddles last year, do you think we'll see less gameplay at E3s going forward, with it possibly not being worth the potential backlash if any changes are made between trailers and launch? So kind of to preface again for people, they didn't really show a ton of gameplay this year. They kind of showed a lot of cinematics and cutscenes and stuff. Do we think, boys, going forward, it's going to be less and less gameplay and more of the cinematics?
I think, yeah, to avoid a little bit of backlash and not to hype up expectations unrealistically, I think the gameplay trailers or the cinematic-y trailers are a better way to go with these games. Like, I think they get people hyped enough and they're beautiful enough because a lot of time is spent on them by like almost a separate team, right? But I think I think it's better marketing, and you don't open yourself up to getting shanked in the ribs.
Sure. Yeah. Levi, what do you think?
What was the question?
The question was, do you think there'll just be more and more cinematics instead of real gameplay at E3?
Oh, more forward? Like kind of like all Naughty Dog.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, sure.
I think it depends on the.
Not, but
yeah, I think it depends on the year. I think next year, because we're gonna get like the console reveal, like full reveals. Like Microsoft might do a thing like Sony did, where they kind of have their show before E3, and then E3 is just games, and they're like, this is running in real time on an Xbox Scarlett, and they'll say like, this is Halo Infinite on Xbox Scarlett, not a cinematic. This is actual gameplay right now. This is the new Fable. This is whatever else, just kind of showing all that stuff off. That's what I feel like they're going to do. And it just depends on the year, right? I don't know. I could be wrong on that. I want there to be more gameplay. I love the cutscenes and the cinematics, but I love it if it's like that and then they show the game. But I think a lot of people get frustrated when they show a beautiful cinematic and then show the game and it's not as pretty as the cinematic. People are like, why isn't it as cool as that? It's like, So that's what I'm guessing. I'm just going to say keep switching. And last question comes in here from Ryan. Ryan, thank you so much on Twitter. So he said, do you think Sony will regret missing out on E3 this year, or are they content about missing E3? What do you guys think? Do you think Sony's like, whatever, no big?
I feel like it was a strategy so they could get information.
No, I think Sony's going to go more in the way of like Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, well, they already are, right, with the state of plays. Like, it just costs a lot less to do this, and they can drop it at any time. Everybody's going to watch it.
E3 might be a dying thing.
Well, that may even announce, like, Sony got to announce the Final Fantasy VII, like, release date at that Final Fantasy press, or Final Fantasy concert they had, like, the night before. So Sony was still making headlines, even though they weren't there. Yeah, I don't know if they'll regret it. I wish they would, because I like to have them be there, so Microsoft kind of is that kind of, like, I'm watching you, kind of thing. But they're not going to do that. So I don't think Sony will regret it. And they probably saved a lot of money, and they probably will still see returns on this E3, even though they weren't there. It was like, even for Marvel's Avengers, they said there's going to be exclusive Sony content, which screams like Spider-Man, right? Like, to say like Spider-Man will just be on the Sony version, like, which would suck. That would be really sad, but. Yeah, and also we didn't get any like Call of Duty stuff because, again, that's under Sony's purview right now. It's like they have that special marketing deal, so we didn't have like any Call of Duty at this press or this year, which was so weird because usually there's this big like 5-minute blowout of Call of Duty. It was like, that's odd. Yeah. Anyway, great questions. Thanks for sending them in. And guys, if you're listening to this, please leave your answers down below. We're not, we want to hear what you think too. It's not just our opinions that matter. But if you do have a question or a topic or just something you want to share with us at any time, just tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to any of us. You can tweet at our official account, which is at Go Critical. It's capital G and a capital C. Rhymes with T, and that stands for, no, it rhymes for P. No, stands for T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. I did it. Or you can tweet at me personally. I'm at Jimmy013. If you want to tweet at Joe, where can they find you?
At Lever_627. That's Lever just like Beaver, only with an L. Boom.
Nice. Levi, how about you?
I'm at Levi Fletcher.
Nice. He didn't say don't tweet at him. Tweet at him, everybody. Just tweet at Levi exclusively this week. I want dog memes. I want Avengers memes, baby. Show me all. I love a good Avengers meme. There's something about. Oh God, there's so many good ones. My favorite one still, I think, is the Thanos one where he does the snap and John Wick's dog goes away and Thanos just says, "Oh shit!" Like it's like. I love that one.
Was a good one.
It gets me every time. If you want to support the channel, consider liking this video, subscribing to us here, subscribing to our Twitch, or donating to us on Patreon. Any way you want to do that, or just sharing us with a friend. Seriously, guys, that helps more than anything. If you just share us around, we'd like to eventually get over 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. One day it will happen.
1,000, you say?
1,000. I know. I'm shooting for the stars, baby. Give me that 1K. That's all I need.
I'm thinking $2,000.
Oh well, 1K turns to 2K, and then 2K becomes 4. I know. I'm a dreamer. Yeah. Or if you just know somebody famous who wants to give us a shout out, like Keanu Reeves. God, wouldn't it be great to just, if I didn't tell you boys, Keanu is just going to be on the show one day. He just, another camera pops up.
You know, he's like a co-founder of a motorcycle company where they've developed and built their own brand of motorcycle.
Not surprising.
Pretty freaking cool.
He gave all the stunt, was it like the stunt people on Matrix 2 motorcycles, I think it was, or something like that. He bought a bunch of motorcycles.
I know he donated like almost all his earnings to a charity.
God, I hope he doesn't. I hope in 5 or 10 years it doesn't come out that he's just like the worst dude. Like there's something really bad because it just.
You notice every picture he takes with women, he never touches them.
He doesn't want to get sued. He's just like
his hands are like always. You can spot his hands like kind of off of their back in space.
His publicist is like, "Don't touch anyone ever," and he's like, "Roger that." Yeah,
Roger Dodger.
Yeah, Roger that. He doesn't even touch Halle Berry in John Wick 3. I don't think he's just like,
anyway, you're not as beautiful as I thought.
No, the dogs, man, the dogs will get him. Anyway, yeah. So that's what we're shooting for 1K. No, it's not about the quantity. It's the quality of the people. And thank you for everyone who tunes in and listens to this every week. We really appreciate it. It's so cool. You guys listen to anybody. You listen to us, and I appreciate it. But Joe, Levi, thank you, boys. Such a fun time chatting with you as per usual.
Thank you, gents.
Thank you.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, everybody else, thank you so much. Love and hugs to you. And just remember to adapt and overcome. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.